Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Cabinet meeting tonight, Wednesday, the 12th of February 2025. I will outline some housekeeping rules and then we'll move to introductions. There are no planned fire alarms, so if it does sound, please leave via the emergency exits. And can I request that all mobile phones are kept on silent or switched off? Thank you. My name is Councillor Jackie Alty. I'm Cabinet Member for Strategy and Reform and the Council Leader.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Aniela Belinsky-Gelder. I'm the Deputy Leader and the Cabinet Member for Communities and Housing.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Councillor Matthew Tomlinson. I'm the Council's Cabinet Member for Finance, Assets and Commercialisation.
Hello, Kath Onsworth, Councillor for Broadfield Ward and Cabinet Member for Environment and Street Scene.
Hi, Councillor Claire Hunter for Bamber Bridge East and Cabinet Member for Leisure and Wellbeing.
Good evening, Councillor Matthew Farnworth, Cabinet Member for Culture, Community Wealth Building and Licensing.
Hello, everyone. I'm Chris Sinnott. I'm the Chief Executive.
My name's Tasneem Safdar, Head of Legal and Procurement and Deputy Monitoring Officer.
Good evening, Sarah Bullock, Deputy Chief Executive.
Neil Holton, Director of Finance.
Asim Khan, Director for Customer and Digital Services.
Hello, I'm Jennifer Mullin. I'm Director of Communities and Leisure.
Hello, I'm Caroline Wolfenden, Director of Change and Delivery.
Good evening, I'm Gail Wootton. I'm the Director of Property and Planning.
Good evening, I'm Coral Asper, the Democratic Services and Member Services Officer.
So I want to thank everybody for attending, and members of the Cabinet are attending in person here at the Civic. Other members of the Council may also dial in to the meeting via Teams to observe, but we do also have some councillors in the room too. Please note that this meeting is recorded and live streamed on YouTube. The web link for this can be found on the Council's website. And members on Teams are asked to keep their microphone on mute and only unmute when they wish to speak and are indicated to do so. I will now move on to the first item on the agenda. I have two apologies, Councillor Colin Sharples and Councillor Ian Watkinson. So we'll move to declarations of interest. If a member has a pecuniary interest, they are requested to leave the meeting completely when the item of interest is under discussion. The member can rejoin the meeting following completion of the item in question. Does anyone have any interest to declare? Nope. Okay, we'll move on then. Thank you. So the minutes of the last meeting from the 15th of January 2025, I'm happy to propose that they're accepted, but is there a seconder?
Seconded.
Thank you. Do we have any matters arising from those minutes, any changes, any amendments? Is everybody happy with them? Okay, right, we'll just move on to the next item. So before we move on, we'll take a vote. Is everybody happy with them? Thank you. Item 4 on the agenda is the Cabinet Forward Plan. Members are advised that this item is accessible via the web link on the agenda. Democratic Service can provide access to the plan electronically at the meeting if needed. Does anyone have any points of discussion that they wish to raise about the Forward Plan? No? Does anybody in the room have anything that they wish to comment? Are there any members on Teams that would like to comment? No. Okay, well, that was for noting. So we'll now move on to agenda item 5. Agenda item 5 is the South Ribble Quarter 3 Performance Monitoring Report. And we've had recommendations that have been received from the Corporate Performance, Budget and Scrutiny Committee. So I'll just introduce the report to start with. Cabinet is asked to review the report and provide feedback where required. Corporate Performance Budget Scrutiny is asked to review and make appropriate comments. This is the report detailing performance from October to December of 2024. And it includes a lot of really positive, helpful points where we're covering the work and the projects, performance indicators working really well and giving a really clear picture of where things are going well. And it also highlights in parts things that are maybe not going quite as well as we'd want them to, but we're working on them. So I'd like to just raise the Cost of Living Action Plan. It continues to provide practical financial support to households and has made significant progress over the quarter. The winter holiday activities and food, we've got school games programmes, we've got playing skills at tea time activities. The Family Wellbeing Centre in Lostock Hall is performing really well with lots of volunteer input. I'm not going to go into massive details because everybody's had the documents. They're all on the website. So if there are any questions, we'll take them. And I'm going to propose that we accept this report. Do we have a seconder?
Seconded.
Thank you. So I'm going to go to Cabinet members. Does anybody have any queries, comments? Councillor Tomlinson.
It's just a very brief comment, Leader, and you've kind of stolen my thunder, really, on what I wanted to say. Because I think there's a natural tendency for us to rifle through this looking for the RAG ratings that are red and ignore everything else. But just for me, just reading page 11 of the report, the stuff under healthy and happy communities that you've just highlighted, I think just gives a flavour of what we're about. And there's some, if people actually read this report, there's some really good stuff in. And as well as focusing on the reds, we ought to really celebrate the great stuff that we're doing. But I did just think that page 11 said so much about what we're about as a council.
I agree. What I really liked about particularly the part about the Family Wellbeing Centre is that the centre benefits from, on average, 25 volunteer hours per week with a core team of 6 volunteers. That's a huge investment in community of people who obviously value what they do and the outcomes that it produces. So does any other Cabinet member wish to comment? Anybody on Teams wish to comment? No. Any members in the room wish to ask questions or comment on anything? No? Okay. Right, well, we'll move to a vote, but I would just like to say that the recommendations from scrutiny are all accepted, and as ever, we really appreciate getting good quality comments and having to dig deep for the answers when we haven't already provided them. So thanks scrutiny for that. So we'll move to the vote, and everybody in favour? Thank you. Okay. So now we'll move. Oh, sorry. Councillor Pillinger.
Just speaking as Chair of Scrutiny, to say we're grateful from the Scrutiny Committee for yourself and Matthew Tomlinson coming, and that I'm only speaking as personally, was impressed with the scope of each of you as you were able to answer the questions that Scrutiny put to you. Thank you.
Thank you. I think it's worth saying we were well supported by officers too. Thanks. So we'll take a vote on accepting the report. Everybody in agreement? Okay, that's lovely. Thank you. So we'll move to agenda item 6, which is Councillor Matthew Tomlinson.
Yes, thank you, Leader. So agenda item 6 is the Capital Programme Balance Sheet Monitoring Report as at the 31st of December. So that's quarter 3 of 4. There are some revised capital programme that people can see at Appendix A, which approves some movements within the programme. So Cabinet has asked to approve them, to note the variations detailed in Appendix B, and to note the position in the balance sheet monitoring section of the report in respect of cash investment and loan balances. As ever with the capital monitoring report, there are some movements and there are some things that are not going to be delivered exactly when we thought they would be. I give the commitment I always give that the things that are in the capital report we are committed to and will deliver, but it just could be that instead of delivering them in the last week of March, we'll actually be delivering them in the second week in April, which means they'll slip from one financial year into another. On the balance sheet, in terms of our cash and balances, they remain roughly the same as they were last year. We're still debt free. I always mention that every quarter, and I'm delighted to be able to continue to mention that. So we're not predicted to pay any interest to any outside organisation, and on the whole, I think it's reporting on a robust and healthy financial position.
Thank you. That's proposed, and I'm going to second. So, does anybody have any comments on Cabinet regarding the budget? Okay. Any comments on Teams? No. Any comments in the room? No. Okay, then we'll move to the vote on that one.
I think there was a comment, a very brief one from Scrutiny. Again, that we will accept in the spirit in which it was offered.
Thank you for that. Okay, we're happy to move to the vote. Everybody in favour? Okay, right, thank you. And once again, we're back with Councillor Tomlinson.
Thank you. And this is agenda item 7, the Corporate Revenue Budgetary Monitoring Report, again up to the 31st of December, the end of quarter 3 of 4 quarters. And this is the revenue budget monitoring. So this is our day-to-day spending, the money that comes in and goes to the council on a regular, predictable basis. Well, in local government, as predictable as it can be, I suppose. I'm really pleased to say that this has hardly changed since what we were predicting at the end of quarter 2, certainly in terms of the overall outturn. When it comes to the budget for the business of the council, we are now saying that at the end of the year, we will be roughly where we thought we were. So we're almost balancing a budget. There are some things that are itemised in the report that are overspends and some underspends, and I'm happy to try and answer any questions that people have. Having said all that, people will have noticed that we are predicting an underspend of some £500,000 at the end of this year. That is almost entirely due to the fact that those cash balances I mentioned in the capital programme have been earning far more interest than we predicted at the beginning of the year, because, as I'm sure anybody with a mortgage will be able to tell you, interest rates remain stubbornly high. We are beginning to see them come down, but they're coming down very slowly. And certainly by the time I come to the end of this financial year, for all of the year, they will have been higher than we predicted when we set the budget. But because we've got cash balances and investments, that's good news for the council and good news for the council taxpayer. So yes, hopefully by the time we come to the end of the year, we'll be in a even healthier position than we thought we were going to be. And that will allow us, and is already feeding in to the budget process that council will be debating at the end of this month. But the recommendations are on page 45, and that is to note the 24-25 forecast outturn, and to note the variance made to and from the revenue budget during the period as detailed in Appendix 2. And I'm happy to move both of those.
Thank you for that. I'm happy to second. I do have one question, and you might not be able to answer it, but I've noticed on page 50, that there's a 6,000 overall reduction in licensing income compared to budget. Was that a predicted? Could we have anticipated that, or is this due to influences outside of our control, like Uber and Wolverhampton and different other areas?
I'm hoping Neil can add a bit more to what I'm going to say, but obviously we hadn't predicted it because it's less than what we budgeted. So we budgeted 6,000 more than we're now saying we're going to get in. As for the reasons for that, I'm looking around. I haven't got that detail, that level of detail.
That's fine, thanks. We can find that out another time. I just thought it was of interest because we've had some pressures, haven't we? Okay. Does anybody on Cabinet have any comments that they would like to add? No. Anybody in the room? Any councillors in the room? Okay. Any councillors on Teams? No. Okay, then we'll move to the vote. So everybody in favour? Thank you. Okay, for item 8, we are going to Councillor Claire Hunter. Thank you.
Thank you. So this is to bring the report to Cabinet. As you know, we're refurbishing and investing a lot in our leisure centres, all 4 of them. So we've started with the decarbonisation, we're starting with the refurbishment, and this report is about the refurbishment of gym equipment, which is phase 1, and eventually replacing some equipment. So it's got to come to Cabinet because it's over £100,000, which we have in our funds to procure these. So it says the report brings forward a project that will involve the refurbishment of gym equipment across the 4 leisure centres in South Ribble. The report will ask for the approval of a procurement strategy, recommends the use of a framework and directly awarding the contract to a local company close to South Ribble. So the recommendations to Cabinet are that Cabinet approves the procurement strategy involving the use of the ESPO framework and the direct awarding of a contract to a particular company on this framework that specialises in the refurbishment of gym equipment. And also the Cabinet delegate the final awarding of the contract to refurbish gym equipment across all of the South Ribble Leisure Centres to Cabinet Member for Communities and Leisure in consultation with the Director of Communities and Leisure. So it basically is what we said we were going to do. We're investing in our leisure centres, and it is asking for Cabinet permission to go ahead and do this.
I'm happy to second that. Do any Cabinet members have any comments? Councillor Farnworth.
Thanks, Councillor Halsey. Just wanted to echo what Councillor Hunter said. Welcome the proposals, particularly that will use a local company. In terms of that, I think we can all agree that members of our leisure facilities and gyms clearly deserve some good equipment. And I think along with the refurb of the leisure centres, hopefully mean that those who are already members stay with us. But hopefully, we can try and attract new members from each local area. So I just want to ask as well, is there any sort of plans to do some sort of membership drive once those sort of refurbs are completed?
We do that intermittently anyway. We did a Black Friday sale and we got 750 new members. We've done a New Year special and we're still so competitive. There's so few gyms out there with the facilities we have, with the swimming pool and everything else. And we're so competitive that, like you said, we're driving for new members. So.
Anybody else have a comment?
Thank you, Councillor Hunter, for bringing this forward. It does say in here a few other things that are going on. The decarbonisation work that's happened, you can see it, but doesn't give the customer a feel of the change of the leisure centre or the investment in the leisure centre. It's like when you get your boiler changed at home, you spend a load of money on it, but you don't really feel it or see it. But in the report, it also sets out and the refurbishment of the wet side changing rooms at all 4 leisure centres. This has been added to the major projects team and the wider capital investment and refurbishment of Bamber Bridge and Leyland. So I think it's anyone that's interested. I use the leisure centres if I pay to go to Leyland, but I think I can use Bamber Bridge as well. So I would encourage anyone in South Ribble to use the leisure centres. They're really good and they're going to be better. And I can't wait personally to see these improvements, especially to the gym equipment, because that's where I like to get fit.
Thank you, Councillor Zaluski-Ganley. Yeah, I mean, that is the whole thing. I mean, we need to concentrate a bit more on health. That's just my opinion. So for us to walk in and for it to be refurbished and to look nice, to look welcoming, going to Bamber Bridge, part of it, we have an amazing park, probably the best in the Northwest, and we have an amazing hub. Now we will have an amazing leisure centre to match.
Thank you for those comments. Anybody else wish to add? Anybody on Teams? No. Anybody in the room? Sorry, Councillor Green. I was laughing at you.
Yeah, thank you, Leader. And I'd like to support this proposal. Can I thank Councillor Hunter? And I agree with her comments there. We need to support the leisure service and the well-being of our residents. Obviously, the equipment hasn't been upgraded since, I think, 2015, so that's 10 years ago. It's a significant amount of time, and South Ribble's residents and the leisure users do deserve better than that, so I'm pleased to see this coming forward. Has it had an impact on usage over the last few years, the fact that the equipment hasn't been upgraded as often as it should have been? And after the equipment is upgraded, refurbished and replaced, etc., are we looking to increase the number of users? And if so, how will we measure that moving forward?
I think it will probably speak for itself. Yes, we would look to increase users. I mean, and once I think they see the gyms have been upgraded and the equipment's upgraded, I think it will automatically bring users in. We've got several different initiatives, you know, with the leisure cards and everything else to attract people in, and also we have an offer on at the moment which is 9 months for the price, 12 months for the price of 9, not the other way around. Yeah. So yeah, we're looking at all sorts of initiatives. What I'd like to see is it done, and then we will look at everything that we can do to bring more customers in, basically, and encourage it.
Just a comment that we're actually back to pre-COVID levels of membership. Obviously, as discussed, the aim is to increase numbers. Oh, thank you. Councillor Tomlinson.
I think just to add to that, about the use of leisure centres, I mean, financially, we are significantly reducing the amount of subsidy that we pay. I think it's nearly 400,000 reduction in the subsidy that we pay to keep the leisure centres going. So that's proof of a robust business plan. We've always said our long-term aim is that the leisure centres should be able to stand on their own 2 feet whilst providing an excellent service to our residents, and clearly that's the path that we're on.
That's really encouraging. Anybody else wish to comment? No. Okay, so we'll go to the vote on that. All in favour? Thank you. I don't know if we've got any members of the public in, but we are now moving to item 9, which is exclusion of press and public. We are now asked to exclude the press and public for the following items of business on the grounds that it involves the likely disclosure of exempt information. So I'm going to propose it. Do we have a seconder?
Seconded.
Okay, all in favour?